Hello. Welcome everybody. So in today's video, we are going to talk about a profile where basically you would be working as a data scientist without any knowledge of statistics. Now, many of you have been commenting constantly on my video that we want to get to know about a profile where I don't want to learn statistics, or I don't know statistics, I don't want to learn it. So this video is going to be a game changer for all of you who want to get into all the multinational bank, but you don't want to understand much about statistics. You just want to stay to the programming language, either SAS or Python. Now, you can see at your screen, I have written certain words there like the Frontline Incentive Plan Scorecard. So this ultimate video is for the Frontline Incentive Plan. Now, what is Frontline Incentive Plan? There are certain words. Let's break those words. Okay. What is Frontline? Frontline means in bank, you have the front office, which is the branch, physical branch. In the branch, you have relationship managers, right? Those are the frontline. Or you have some sales representatives who are basically selling your credit cards or your loans, anything. Okay. So all of these people are known as frontline. Because why? Because they are directly dealing with the customer. So that's why this layer of banking employee is known as frontline. Now, incentive. What is incentive? It's pretty much self-explanatory. Money, right? Dollar you can say, or you can say rupiah, anything, right? So the currency, or basically the reward which you will getting when you are selling something from the bank side to the customer, that is your incentive. What is the meaning of plan? Plan is bank will give you a plan that you have to achieve a target, right? So now when you achieve this target, this is your plan. On the achievement, on the basis of the achievement of this plan, you will be getting some incentive. Now, that is the frontline incentive plan. Now, this frontline incentive plan is completely called as a scorecard. Why it's scorecard? Because a frontline incentive person, for example, there was a person, Mike. This person, Mike, was selling credit card in Hong Kong. Okay. For example, for a bank called HSBC. Now, this Mike would be getting a scorecard, which is a report that how did he performed in this quarter, where his score will be there against the target which are given to him, against the actuals which he have achieved. On the basis of that, he will be getting the incentive. Now, one thing to remember, all these employees, majority of them are getting salaries. Now this incentive is on top of salaries. So basically that's why all these frontline people try to push so many of the products to all of you in India or abroad. Okay. From the respective country you are watching this video, you should be able to understand that why all these people are working so hard to push in your mind. Why don't you buy a FD? Why don't you invest in this product? This is a very good product. You can make 12% interest and this and then so many other things, right? Now come back to the basic part. The scorecard. Now, me or you as a data scientist would be preparing this scorecard. We don't have to do anything with the direct frontline. We would be preparing the scorecard. Now, when we talk about preparing the scorecard, so to prepare this scorecard, I would need any programming language. Either we will do that in SAS, either we will prepare the scorecard in Python. Okay. Now, I hope you understood the basics. Now, as a data scientist, data analyst, you need to achieve this. You need to prepare this incentive plan, which you would be basically sharing with all the frontline people. Now, the catch here is that every person who's working on the front line would also be tracking their actuals against the target which are given to them, right? So you need to be very thorough in your programming when you would be calculating their score. So this was the basic. Now let's move forward to understand certain important matrices which you should be knowing. Okay. Now under bank, you have so many products. For example, insurance, you have credit card, and you have mortgage. Some of them are wealth product. For example, insurance is a wealth product. Okay. And then these are your retail products. These belong to retail portfolio. Insurance belongs to wealth product. Now, every product is ultimately a tool for the bank to maintain profit or improve the profit for the bank. Now, to understand this, you should understand some terminology. AUM. AUM stands for asset under management. How much the asset is under management? Now, asset can be anything: the insurance, credit card, or mortgage. What do I mean by asset? For example, your mortgage portfolio is 2 billion US dollar. This much of loan you have given. This is a home loan, for example, HL. So, asset under management for home loan portfolio will be 2 billion US dollar. Okay. Now, AUM we understood. Then comes the RM. Okay. So, for RM is your relationship manager in the bank. Now, for RM, the customers are divided into several segments, because every RM would be having a different kind of skill set. So, on the basis of the skill set, the bank give the customer bucket to the RM. So, the customers are divided into certain buckets. One is personal, then you have premium, and the topmost are priority. Now, the junior RM would be serving the personal, the intermediate RM on the bank would be serving the premium, and then the topmost RM of the bank would be serving the priority customer. How this is divided? How this is decided also on the basis of how much amount they hold in the bank. For example, for the limit is 1 million US dollar. Up to the customer who have 1 million US dollar in their pocket, they are personal. Up to the from 1 million to 10 million are in premium, and all customer who are more than 10 million US dollar, they are under priority. This is something you should remember. Now, one more important term is NSR. This is net sales revenue. This NSR is the byproduct which is generated by the relationship managers who are selling on the front line to the customer. So, net sales revenue basically is the biggest factor for what? Biggest factor to calculate your scorecard. Basically, scorecard is just like a report card which you have in the school. So you have different subjects. Every subject would be having some score associated with that, right? Maths, chemistry, Hindi, physics, everything. Similarly, in scorecard, you will be having multiple KPIs, right? Subject a subject can be considered equal to a KPI. Now, this NSR is the topmost KPI. KPI stands for Key Performance Index. Now you can simply understand key performance index of whom? The relationship manager. This is something you should remember. Now, I think you got the whole and soul overall from the business problem perspective. This is the basically objective. This is something you need to solve. Now, as a data scientist, what I want certain things. Number one, I want input data. I want the sources of data. I will bifurcate in a minute. Then I need number two, business rule. We will need business rules to write those SAS or Python codes, which will be telling us that what exactly the score is in which KPI. That is something you should remember. Okay. Now, to bifurcate this input data, input can be of several types. Some are internal, some are external. Okay. Now, there is one input, the topmost and the historical data you need. Now, historical data is usually considered or stored inside the traditional data warehouse system, or sometime in cloud. Now there is a migration from RDBMS to cloud is happening in 2026, but still most of the bank are having in RDBMS. Okay. So this first type of data is known as prod data warehouse, which is having the historical data of your frontline people and the customer. This is the historical snapshot. So some bank call it PDW. This is a very well used terminology in the market. Now PDW is historical snapshot of the data of the customer and the frontline people. Then second type of data is your TP data. Now TP stands for transactional processing, which is an ongoing data which is getting updated on the daily basis because transactions are happening every minute. Now these relationship manager have sold the data to the customer. So all that historical data you will get from this database. Then the transactional data, because once you sell a product, you need to monitor the performance of the product, the life cycle of the product, like right from selling till the time the customer is exiting. You need to understand and get the data from the transactional processing database. Now this can be a database, this can be a flat file, this can be anything, okay? This can be CSV or a JSON. Any type of file you can receive. Now, the second thing for the data scientist, what I need, now I got the data. I have the data. Now, the second thing I said, business rules. So now when a bank is providing the targets to every frontline people, for example, Mike. So to Mike, they will give a target. So for example, they wanted Mike to sell some credit card in some region of US and they want to achieve him up to $5 million revenue from the credit card in last quarter. Now, Mike will say, can you give me the list of KPI on the basis of which you will measure my performance, right? This is fair ask. Now, bank will give them this business rule, also known as scheme rules. So sometime in industry, you will hear the word schema rules, scheme rules, or business rule. Ultimately, the meaning is same here. Okay. Now, this is something given by the business team, because business team is the one who are creating the matrices. They would be talking to the senior leadership. They would be getting on the conclusion that for this quarter or this month or this after every 2 quarter, because the frequency is different in all the banks, right? But most common is quarterly scorecards, right? Now, when they would be producing that business rule, so they would be giving some multiplier with respect to each of the KPI. That is something you need to remember. Okay, we got the input, we got the business rule. Now the third thing was you would be implementing those business rule in any programming language, as I said, Python or SAS. Okay, now using this, you would be generating the scorecard, which will be having the KPIs and then the score with respect to them. On the basis of the score, you will be having another business rule given to you by the business team. And on the basis of that Excel sheet, you will map this scorecard with that Excel sheet, and then you will get the final incentive, because there are so many multipliers. So for example, if revenue between this and this, then you need to give this multiplier and the incentive will be equal to this much amount. So everything is calculated basis on the mathematics. There is no stats here, right? There are no regression, no classification problem. Again, this is called as a frontline scorecard. Don't get confused, because there is another scorecard, which is the credit risk scorecard, where you are producing, which basically you are producing for altogether different purpose. If you want to learn that, there is a playlist on my channel. Okay, let's come back to the topic. So today we are working on this incentive scorecard. I think this is clear to all of you now. Okay, now let me give you certain important pointers which you should be remembering. Now, many of you can think, what are the other KPI? Because NSR is just one KPI, net sales revenue. So I will tell you KPI wise. Now, number one is NSR, as I already told all of you. Number two will be AUM. This is again a very important KPI. I will tell you the bifurcation. By this you are getting the revenue. By second, you are getting the total amount which is there involved, how much the bank has disbursed. Third would be sales achievement. Like as per the target, how much achievement the frontline worker has achieved. Then the service quality score, because every customer will give some score to any of the frontline. You might have heard those calls, right? When your RM is telling, sir, you will get a survey link, please fill the survey. So that is your quality score. Okay, this is again very important KPI. Then you have the persistency. Persistency means that the customer which you have onboarded in the bank, how many of them are still with the bank? That is known as persistency. Okay. Now, all of those KPI which are there having a different weightage. Okay. So now to understand this weightage, it will be totally different in all the banks. It's not kind of a fixed value which everybody would be telling you, right? So now I give you an example. Okay, just imagine that you are working as a RM in, for example, any of the Indian bank. You are working with HDFC. Okay, and in the retail banking, so this month you have achieved, let's say they have given you some target. Okay, so you sold some 20 credit cards. You sold 20 credit card. Now you also cross sell insurance. So second product you sold, then you basically generated 1 million as asset under management. This asset is under your management. Also, you closed 3 home loans. So you are kind of an outstanding relationship manager in the bank. So now my question is, will the bank calculate your incentive only on the basis of the number of product you sold? No, right? All these KPI would be calculated for all these portfolios. So basically for this kind of RM, this relationship manager would be having so many scorecards. How many? One is for credit card, then for insurance, then for home loans. So for this RM, there will be scorecard, incentive scorecard in all the 3 portfolio. Bank use sometime, bank basically also sometime called Frontline Incentive Scorecard. They call it this way, like which I already told you, right? Sometime they will call only incentive scorecard. But don't get confused with the terminology, because lingo is different for all the bank. Okay. Now these scorecard, as I said, from frequency perspective, also you should be able to understand. Okay. Some of the bank have monthly, some of them are quarterly, and some of them get on yearly basis with the total performance which they are doing. Okay. Now to understand this, let's talk about one more important thing. All these KPI are calculated for each of the product, right? But it's not necessary that you as a data scientist would be working on all the products. It is highly possible that bank, when you join the bank will give you only, let's say, mortgage for a particular country, let's say India. So bank, HDFC is operating in multinational countries, right? Multiple countries. Now this bank has given mortgage to you only for India people. Then they will give you one more scorecard, for example, insurance. So usually what happens? When you join the bank, they will give you one very big portfolio, one a little medium kind of portfolio, because one person cannot accommodate 2 very big product, because there are monthly runs, there are quarterly preparation, there are coding skills required. So many things are involved. So it's not very much advisable usually in bank that one person would be building so many scorecards for frontline for all the big products. So usually this is divided. Okay. Now let's talk about some interesting part here is going to be, let's dive more detail for all these KPI. That is something we should talk. Now let's go KPI wise. Okay. Now NSR. Because to understand each of these KPI is something you would be building the code. On the basis of the KPI only you will be writing the code. So let's try to understand one by one. So as I said, net sales revenue. Basically this measures how much revenue the employee has generated. How much revenue in last quarter. Okay. High revenue generally means a higher score. Just understand that. The more revenue you will generate, the higher score you will get. And usually the scorecard is always calculated from 100%. Just like our report cards in classes, right? Out of 100, you get the score. So similarly, in each KPI, you will get a score from 100. But individually, these KPI have a kind of a accumulative sum, which is equal to 100. So now this was the interesting thing I was talking about. So if you combine all these 5, that should come equal to 100. So the business team will say NSR have a 40% weightage. AUM have a 20% weightage. So 40 plus 20, 60. Then this have 15% weightage, which is your sales achievement. Then your quality score is again 15%. So now we are at 90%, and persistency has a 10%. So the total comes to 100. Okay. So you need to make sure that your total should be equal to 100, and don't get confused with the business rule when you get them. Okay. Maybe I'll make another video where I will show you actual business rule and we will prepare an actual frontline scorecard, because today I just want to cover this topic to understand it from very deep. Okay. Let's not go into coding today. Now, AUM, the second one. It's pretty easy. As I said, it is the measure of value of customer investment managed by the employee or the relationship manager. Now, AUM example can be mutual funds. Many of you would be investing in mutual fund and you will see the AUM, how much the asset under management. So that is AUM. It can be your FD. Okay. Then it can be your bonds. These are all management which the bank RM would be doing, or any investments. All are part of AUM. That's why AUM has a kind of a significant 20% impact on the frontline scorecard. Then the product sale. Now, what is product sale? This measures the number of banking product the RM is selling to the customers. This is self-explanatory: credit card, home loan, or any insurance product, or any kind of investment products. So many products are there in bank. Okay. Now, the next one is your target achievement. Fourth KPI, target achievement. Suppose the target which was given to you was 100 credit card. Now your achievement is 110 credit card. So your achievement percentage would be 110%. That is your achievement. Okay. Now for each of these, you would be writing SAS code. That is the interesting part. Now the fifth KPI is quality score. Customer will be giving you the score on the basis of your sales, the kind of behavior you have shown them, and on the basis of your document collection, because you will be doing KYC and so many other stuff. On the basis of that, this is usually getting calculated. Poor quality reduce the overall score. And for bank, the quality score actually matters. That's why you will hear this so many times. Then you have persistency. Okay. Now, persistency is for what? Persistency mostly used in insurance and wealth business. Why? It measures whether customer continue using the product or the customer has given up on the product. Because usually customer buy the product under some time manipulation, sometime under some thought, but usually they given up. After some time, they think that we don't need this product and they usually give up on that. So higher persistency whenever you get, that means that the better long-term business quality, and that matters. Okay. So that's why this is again a very important KPI. Now, I think we have spoken about the data. We have spoken about the KPI. Now, we usually get the business rule. That is something also we have spoken about. On the basis of that only, your scores are getting calculated. Now, how usually scorecard looks like? How you'll build the scorecard? So basically, you can simply understand the score calculation now. Score calculation is important here. In the next video, I will show you how to build it. So make sure you understand all these concepts today. If you have any doubt, please put it in the comment. I will reply to that. Now, once you build your, let's say, SAS code or your Python code, average code length would be 1000 line. It can be like, depending on the complexity of the product you are making the scorecard for. Okay. Now, in the end, ultimate table will be having all these metrics. So NSR would be, let's say, for example, 110%. Then you have AUM. This is for relationship managers. These metrics, obviously, we are calculating for them. AUM, as per target, you only could achieve 95%. Quality, you could achieve 98%. Okay. Then from compliance side, compliance again a KPI. Okay. You could achieve 100%, which is a big thing because compliance is very important in the banks. In persistency, your achievement is 92%, which is a fair percentage, not a very good one. The system apply predefined weights, which are given to you by the business team. As I said, those are given in the form of Excel. And finally, the employee receives an overall score because you will multiply each of these KPI with those multipliers. And you will take a kind of a actuals versus target in all of them. Okay. Then finally, you will calculate the score and score will come something like 97 out of 100 overall level pe. Okay, on the overall level, that is something you will achieve. Now this is known as a frontline incentive plan, and for this you only need some good programming language. You don't need any statistics. So this is kind of a profile which many of you are looking for. So I would say you Google it, search which bank are making it, and then you can go and you can achieve a job there. Okay. Now, simply to conclude this, the first step is customer purchase the product. I am just summarizing the whole story. Okay. Summarize how the whole life cycle is working. Customer purchase the product, then transactional processing happening. We are putting that data in PDW, production data warehouse. Then it goes to the business team making the business rule. And then they are converting them into KPI. Once those KPI are built, they are giving KPI to us as data scientists. Then we are building the SaaS code, and the frontline scorecard is getting generated by us. On the basis of the scorecard, we will send those files to the payroll team. Or you can say the HR team. They would be processing their incentive, and those relationship manager will get few days time, for example 7 working days, so that if they have any issue, they can come back to us. They can report to the HR that this is something which I was expecting and it's not meeting my expectation. So that's how this whole life cycle works. Okay, on overall level. Now these scorecards are widely used in the retail banking, wealth management, insurance, and sales analytics to measure employee performances across the globe, to ensure that incentives are linked not just to sale but also to customer service quality and business outcome. Okay, in the next video we will build a frontline scorecard using Python. Okay, I would be using Python to understand how these KPIs are calculated and what type of business rules you are getting in what form. Okay, so we'll talk about a real-time banking experience. On that note, if you like my video, make sure you subscribe to my channel and put your comment if something you want me to improve in this video or you have a feedback. I always address all these feedbacks. On that note, thank you so much. All the best.